Udah, ya kita akan segera mulai. Are you ready, Alan?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, if you're ready, you can
Don't
start to
mind.
share your screen. I will record this class ya. Oke, guys, selamat menikmati sesi dari Mr. Alan ini.
Okay, hi, selamat pagi semua. Is everyone okay? Macam tak okay je. Semua baru bangun ke semua? Betul tak?
Yeah.
Today is Saturday. Yeah, today is Saturday. So please bear with me on this. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Desi, on the introduction itself. So what I'm going to express would be dari perspektif saya lah, dari perspektif saya, all about materials and probably texturing and some of the UV aspect stuff. But it depends on how much can be covered throughout the entire day. Okay, so most of you learn how to do modeling in 3D Max. Am I right? Majority of you all. Betul tak?
Yeah, Max and Blender.
And Blender.
Blender
Okay.
and some of our students using Maya as well.
Some using Maya as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a mix of three different software. Tiga software lah macam ni.
Yeah.
So all right. So but basically as I'm sure that Mr. Desi dia dah beritahu semua korang, okay, pasal dalam modeling proses kan, kita ada modeling proses, but before the modeling you do have your planning. Okay, your planning, lepas tu buat model dia dengan apa-apa tu yang korang belajar kan, macam extrusion ke or subdivision to define the shape itself. So texturing atau letak materials kan, texturing or putting up the shaders, proses ni kan normally dia occur or berlaku selepas proses modeling normally. Okay, but before you actually what do you call that, put the related colors, put the related images into this state model itself. First thing first, in 3D modeling and texturing as well, right? It's all about the power. It's all about observation. Okay, it's all about observation. It's actually look around, right? If you look around your environment right now, you look around your environment. If you look at the wall, that is the texture for the wall. If you create a wall in 3D itself, that will be the texture for the wall. Meaning, say you have to take a photographic image of that wall itself, then put into the Maya itself or 3D Max or Blender. But if you look at the wall itself, it doesn't have any reflectivity, etc. It is just a matte wall or solid wall. Then that is the color or attribute of that state wall of that item itself. Okay, example line. Kalau kan, okay, kalau you have let's just say for example, I'm trying to look around here. Okay, kalau if you model a phone, okay, if you model a phone, kalau korang model a phone, so you need to identify what would be the surface of the phone itself. Definitely. So you do see that there are some reflection, right, being reflected on the cover of the phone itself, but some of the body itself is more solid, but certain body part, right, does emit reflection or specularity or highlight. Okay, so as I said before, right, this mostly goes towards you look around you. You have your subject matter or reference or the item that you model. You need to be aware, right, type of surface your model portrays. Faham tak? Tak berapa. Am I going too fast? Yeah.
It's okay. It's clear enough, Alan.
Okay, I do hope.
Guys, kalau kalian mungkin terlalu cepat atau apa, interupsi aja, it's okay ya. Tinggal bilang aja. Okay.
Yeah.
Gimana, Alan?
They can understand, they can comprehend, right, some of the things that I mentioned. Can, right, guys? No problem, right? Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, cool. But just help me out if there's voice translation. Because I'm trying to see and there. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So of course, right. If you work texturing or creating materials, right. 3D Max itself, I'm not sure what is it called because I vaguely remember what's it called. Blender itself, they do have their own as well. But for those who are in Maya, right. There are several of you who actually use Maya. What I'm told, do have what we call hypershade. But in Max and Blender, they do have mereka ada nama lain lah, tapi fungsi hypershade sama dengan how you create the texture of materials Blender ke or 3D Max. Okay, because from there, right, it is some sort like I or a workspace, right, where you which manage, create, manage, edit, and connect some what we call rendering nodes, or I'm not sure how to actually explain. Nodes is more like data or extra parameters that's given to it itself. So let's say when I talk about nodes, right, you have some sort like a material with flexible node, with the bump node, with the normal map node, and etc. That's for example. But for the Hypershade, right, has more than texture materials that do have rendering utilities and special effects as well. Okay, but this one, all this one, right, special effects, all these special effects, like two-sided or certain condition or whatnot, that one is for advanced user. But right now, this is just a fundamental understanding. Okay, so let's say, right, okay, I'm going to share my Maya itself.
Excuse me, Alan. I think you need a little bit closer to your laptop so that the voice is not disappear.
Oh, okay, can. Sorry. That's why I wanted to use my headset, but do not know why the headset got problem. Okay. All right. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, it's clear.
Can you see my screen? Is it showing Maya or other things?
Still in frenzy.
Okay, so I think I'll share the Maya. All right. Okay. Here. Okay. Can you see my screen now, everyone?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So as what you can see, I mean, Maya itself as what Mr. Desi mentioned. Even if you use Max, right, the fundamentals behind Max is much more similar to Maya and also Blender itself. Just that the way itself is much more is kind of like similar, but the way to execute things are different from one another. But the aspect is much more similar. Sama juga lah. Tapi all the menus and what do you call that? All the menus or item, right, is being located at different areas. So over here in Maya, I do have the hypershade, and this is one of the example, right, of the hypershade
So
itself.
in 3ds Max we call it material editor, yeah. In Maya it calls hypershade, and in Blender or also material editor.
I also do not know what's the name for Blender. I'm sorry, I just played Blender for one day only last time. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So over here would be this is the hypershade. If anyone wants to really know on this, I think as what Mr. Desi mentioned, there are some of you Maya based, right? Okay. So this is where we have our trace where we store semua material yang kita create, yang kita akan create okay pada hari ini. Tapi saya akan create some of the fundamentals material itself because as what you can see kan, kamu tengok kat sebelah sini, kat bawah ni, there are over hundreds of what we call nodes or materials. Okay, I'm not talking about the standard Maya alone, tapi sekarang dalam Maya versi baru kan, Maya 2020, tapi sejak 2019 or maybe 2018, we've been utilizing Arnold renderer in some of our classes. I'm sure 3D Max also has Arnold renderer because I do know 3D Max do have Arnold renderer, and you do have V-Ray as well. V-Ray. That was
Arnold renderer dan V-Ray, yeah.
V-Ray existed during our uni time. Yeah, I think many years ago. And I was trained. Yep, and I was trained in Mentoray last time. Yep, but over here we do have. So as what you can see here, you do have a lot of options. But I'm not going to focus into every single one of this aspect itself because it's a little bit complicating, too much information, especially you do have Arnold shader. But I'm just going to have a look at this one alone. Okay, just this view first as a standard fundamental, right, for this session itself. Okay, so over here will be the tray where you store whatever materials that you created over here. Click on one of them. You will somewhat actually see some sort like a preview over here. Preview of the material where you'll be greeted by the parameters or attribute of that said material itself. Okay, from the colors, transparency, ambient incandescence, diffuser, bump mapping, and others as well. Okay, so but common rule of thumb here, right? Common rule of thumb here, as what I said previously, right, is to identify the surface that you're dealing with. to identify the surface that you're dealing with. So please do allow me, right, to create a few items here. Lah. I need to reduce the, what do you call that? The zoom. Sorry, yeah. Three spheres, for example.
I'm sorry, your voice is disappear.
Because I actually moved back a little bit. Yeah, I moved back a
Oh,
little bit. Because
yeah,
it's very hard for me to.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
yeah, 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 yeah.
I prefer the headset. Yeah, that's why I do not know what's going on with the headset. Okay, all
Maybe
right.
the problem, yeah, it's okay.
So I have to put my face close to
To
the
the
screen
screen,
here,
yeah.
guys. Hope you
Oh,
don't mind. Hope you don't mind. Okay.
it's okay.
So I do have three objects over here, and I do have the hypershade itself. I wish I can toggle back into my slide to actually explain some of the materials itself, but never mind. It's okay. This one should suffice. Okay. So the first one that we wanted to see, right? Okay. The first one that we wanted to see would be the Lambert shader itself. Okay. I'll just click on here. In Maya itself, if you want to generate a material, right? If you want to generate a material, you just need to go into any of the categories that you see over here in the UI itself for Hypershade under the Create tab. So you can see standard surface, plane, Lambert, layered. Okay, standard surface may be a new feature I had yet to explore on that, and any other options right under this category itself. But of course, you do have the choice right of choosing other categories here, which is for advanced user, together with some of the rendering nodes or information that can be imbued right onto the material itself. I'll start out with Lambert. Okay, I'll start out with Lambert and right click. I can rename the material to be a sphere material. Okay, because I just created a few spheres, so I just name it as sphere material. Upon clicking on one of the material, right? Let me just take a picture. Okay. Upon clicking on one of the material, if you guys can hear me, you get to actually choose right different parameters or adjust different parameters for this what you call Lambert itself. Either I can actually change it here, then I can see the effect right on the shader ball itself, or I can press Control A right in Maya with the shader selected. I can actually adjust the attribute as well. Some special effects. So the first one that you can see, right? This one is very obvious. Color Warner. Okay, color Warner. So if I want to have one specific color, let's just say yellow or probably red. Let's just say red. Okay, red color means the material will be red color. So if I were to actually apply, right? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, huh. I
Uh,
can hear you.
if I were to apply, right? If I were to apply this red color material into the 3D itself, right? I have few choices in which I can hold down my middle mouse and drag and drop into the object itself.
Middle,
Or
middle mouse berarti scrollnya ya, the wheel, mouse wheel.
the wheel scroller.
Tiganya itu diklik untuk drag ini.
Yep, drag all of them. Or I can just I can just select the items accordingly. Select any of the model that I see on the screen. The pass to right click on the material, done. Assign materials to selection. Meaning to say I'm assigning that material to the state selection itself. All right. So as always, right? As always, if I want to modify the color, kalau saya tak suka warna merah, kalau saya tak suka warna merah atas apa ni ya, sphere ni kan, saya boleh tukarkan warna dia kepada mungkin biru ke atau hijau atau apa-apa warna yang kamu suka, for example. Okay. There are others attributes, right? Or what do you call that? Yeah, attributes or data, right? Or parameters here that we can change around based on the description that was mentioned over here. So we do have transparent, which let's just say you want to create an item which is transparent like glass or probably plastic, those that you can see through, for example. But I know Lambert itself is a poor choice of a material to actually portray something glassy. I can still actually change the transparency over here. Okay, ambient color is more like some sort of like a reinforcing color over the material itself, I rarely actually use ambient here because I would normally prefer to leave the color as it is. But you can have different variety, right? Upon playing together with all these, what do you call that? All these parameters, as what you can see over here. Normally, I want to keep things short and simple for some of my projects I do. Okay, but of course, certain occasion I may have to adjust this to ambient and incandescent itself. Right? Diffuser is more like on the diffuser color, maximum value, or over, or not to say saturated or lower color of the um, original color itself. And there's even translucent and translucent depth and focus, in which, if I'm not mistaken, the surface itself from underneath is translucent. Okay, I rarely actually, to be honest, I rarely actually play around with all these things because it doesn't, it's not really that applicable to some of the projects I do. But of course, I do. If I want to play around to get different effects, I would do so. Right. So this is more on the exploration part for the Lambert itself. However, all these attribute, right, from color, transparency, ambient, incandescence. Okay, I'm not going to talk about bump mapping. That's one probably later. Okay, bump mapping is where you can simulate, right, bump, or you can say normal map, right, bump or normal map, in which you can simulate a surface, right. Let's just say a surface to be, let me just go for
The roughness of the surface ya.
yep, the roughness of the surface.
Kasar halusnya itu kita ini.
Betul. Macam kalau if you model a tree, for example, pokok-pokok in Maya itself, you wouldn't want to model all the winds of the tree itself. You just have to create some sort like a fake representation of that particular part itself through bump. That's why you can see over here. So some students that I have, right? Some students that I have, let me just break one. Some students that I have, when they actually create the floor tiles, right? When they create the floor tiles, they actually model the floor tiles together with the subdivision itself. In a way or two, it's actually okay to do so, but you actually use a lot of time to actually create the tiles. Might as well you just use bump and texture itself, right?
Yeah, betul.
Okay, so I just said this one. Okay, so Lambert itself, right? As what you can see here, Lambert is some sort like a solid material to simulate, right? Some sort like flat surface, and it doesn't actually have any highlights. When I mentioned about highlights, right? Highlights is something like when you have a surface that's glossy, right? And then you have a light source shining onto the area itself, you portray some sort of like a highlight. But this one is a very flat material, which is very commonly used, right? Let's say for your wall, even some of your everyday items that you encounter, right? Okay, a table without any glossiness, then you can use Lambert. If you look around you, I'm looking around in my room. Okay, I'm looking around in my room. I'm trying to identify some of the Lambert itself. Okay, probably the laptop itself, it does have some certain Lambert, no highlight. The this plug, I do not know whether you can see from my screen itself. This this computer itself, right? This computer itself is Lambert on the gray part itself with some combination of Blin or Fong, because all these one are metallic surface. Okay, even some of them I don't have many.
So Lambert itu intinya jenis permukaan yang flat ya, tidak ada refleksi, tidak ada highlight, tidak
Betul.
ada glossiness, atau mungkin kalau bahasa apa ya, bahasa kita itu nggak kinclong gitu.
Tak ada refleksi, reflection, specular, it's just a flat material in which it is actually applicable to everywhere. But even Lambert itself can be used for human skin, but actually the human skin, we do have a little bit of shininess, then we can use Fong, but in certain situations, basically, in certain situations, but not entirely. But however, human skin, we just have to use Fong, not to say Fong, for example, or the human skin shader in Maya itself. All right. So this is actually Lambert. All right. Any questions so far from the floor? Anyone? No question.
No,
Is
sir.
everyone?
Okay.
All right. So the next one, right? Okay. I do have here so that I can show the okay. Okay. The next one, right, would be one of the most prominent one would be called the Blin itself. Okay, Blin. Blin was named after some sort of like a computer science dude, if I'm not mistaken. I always call him Gandalf because he has this beard. It's named after Jim Lin. I'm not too sure whether you all heard about him. Mr. Desi, you heard about?
Yeah, I already heard the name. I think a scientist, yeah, who learn about physics or something like that, yeah.
I think he's the one who actually created the algorithms for Lin itself. So it was named after him. Yeah. You can go Google. You can type Jim. He's still alive.
Jim.
You gotta go.
Lambert also name of the
Lambert, I'm not too sure. Lambert, but I know Blin is here. Fong is from a Vietnamese scientist, but he passed away a long time ago. But Blin is still alive. All right, Blin, right, as what you can see over here, when you generate a standard Blin, right, sphere, sorry, not a sphere, the Blin material itself, you can actually see the effects, right, of the, or not to say effects, the preview of the material itself. That's what you can see over here. Some of the parameters, right, especially color, transparent, ambient color, incandescence, diffuse, translucent, and etc., right, they are very similar together with the Lambert. As a matter of fact, majority of the Maya materials that you created, right, they do share the same attributes, except for some, right, except for some specialized one like Arnold. This one working on a different level and different parameters. So kalau korang nak change color kan, tukar color, sama juga. Sama juga dengan Lambert. Transparency, sama juga. Ambient, kalau korang nak main dengan ambient ke atau incandescent, sama juga. And diffuser as well. So let me just press Ctrl item over here, which are the same as each other. So probably I'll change the color to blue. Okay, and I can see the effect that, hey, I can see that there's highlight. Okay, there's highlight, and probably there's some reflection over here. These are what we call specular setup or specular shading parameters. And all these specular shading parameters can be found under this tab over here. And same goes for here. So let me reduce. Let me just apply, right? 1, 2, 3. Apply this. And let me just select one. So as you can see from the screen itself, right, because I'm moving around the camera and the highlight is normally being cast on the surface itself, thus it is ideally used, right? Okay, Blend itself is commonly and ideally used. If there's a highlight, there's some reflection, it can be used for metallic surface. Okay, any metallic surface, glassy surface, anything that has a soft highlight and even reflection itself. What? So if I were to actually render a scene here, right? Let me just do a few modifications now. Give me a moment. I'll just use software faster. Thing I'll just set just close. So if I were to do a preview render without any lighting, I'm using default Maya lighting. That's why you can see here, these are Lambert, whereas these are Blend together with maximum reflectivity or items or the environment is being reflected, and you do have a soft highlight over here. So the highlight is actually referring to specularity. This is the specular or we call it highlight. So the highlight, right, we can actually adjust. Let me just reduce the here. So the highlight itself, it can be on a wider radius, and you can actually see the preview, right? Depending on the surface that you created, when you assign the materials on the surface, you can actually see the preview of how big the highlight is going to be, how small or concentrated the highlight is going to be, which is visible on the model itself and also on the preview over here. Same goes for the roll-off to actually soften or probably increasing the radius of the highlight itself. So all these two need some balance, right, to get the desired effect, right? To get the desired effect. So color, specular color refers to the, if you change this color, let's just say if I go to yellow, your specular color will become some sort of like a yellowish white. So all this one can be adjusted to your own personal preference to get the here. So if I were to actually reduce smaller, and this is okay, this is what you get. Much more concise, much more concentrated. But of course, back to what I said earlier on, it's all about observation. If your surface, right, has this small highlight, it's being portrayed, this small highlight, some sort of like, what's that? The snooker ball, let's just say, for example. If the surface itself portrays such a small highlight, then this is the result that you get through all this modification here, right? Same goes for the reflection itself. Okay, for Maya itself, right? For Maya, I need to activate the ray tracing so that I can see the reflection. But if I use unknown renderer over here, the reflection will be prominent. Okay, there you go. Okay,
Semakin refleks semakin berat ya, semakin lama rendernya.
makin lama,
Nah,
but
ya,
it will be very, very nice in the end. Yeah,
ya.
very nice. But if handled properly, yes, correct. So Mr. Desi has a point here. Correct. So the more detailed, right? The more detailed that you put into things, the more detail that you put into the scene itself together with reflection, and everything will be reflected here and there. So it will take time to actually render. But I'm using a pretty fast machine, and I'm just using Maya software here. It only took around like 3 seconds. If I'm not mistaken, 3 seconds or less than that. Okay, and the resolution itself is 960 by 5. All right. So that would be the lane itself. It's very straightforward. Some of the attribute, right? Some of the attribute for Blin, especially for the first few one, are very, very similar, right? Are very similar to the Lambert itself. As a matter of fact, most of them they do have the same parameters. So the next one, right? The next one would be there are two types of Fong actually. Okay, there are two types of Fong. You can actually use either one of them. One of them is called Fong, right? Fong is the standard material to actually simulate glossy surface. Some surfaces like plastic surface, though it can be used for glassy, it is also another variety of Blin, but they work different compared to Blin itself. Actually, you can actually use Fong, right, to simulate glassy surface, but actually for Fong, it's normally used for plasticky surface. Fong. Okay. So let me just change the color to red. Good. Yeah. Okay. So right. Pure Fong, as what you can see here, right? As what you can see here, they do not have much parameters in this specular itself, but the top one is very, very much similar from one to another. So cosine power actually focuses on the what you call that, on the length or the size of the specularity itself. Specular color the same as the lane, okay, same as the lane, same goes reflection. But both of them works different from each other. The output, right, or the rendering is somewhat, not to say similar, but it is much more. Okay, I think this one is too big. Okay. Not much of a big difference actually, but this one overall it gives some sort of like a plastic surface. But that's why I say the font itself is somewhat of a similar output, right, together with the blend itself. But blend, right, blend is more on the metallic, and also if you play around with transparency, right, you can get different results. All right, much more metallic, but this one is more plasticine in nature. With some care and adjustment, right, this one is normally used for plastic surface, a very glossy surface for the font itself. I can say it's also another, not to say another variety of blend, but more or less it works the same as blend, but on the plastic surface.
Jadi blend bisa dipakai untuk metal ya, untuk yang lebih keras. Kalau Fong itu biasanya karakternya untuk kayak plastik ya, yang lebih soft ya tampilannya ya.
Soft, especially for the specularity itself and also for the outcome of the Fong itself. All right, so Fong E, right? Fong E is actually another variation of Fong, but according to the description in Maya itself, right, they say this one is faster rendering, but they do have, right, extra parameters like the roughness and highlight, right, to properly define. Because over here it's being controlled by the cosine power, the size, okay, as an entirety, right, for the font itself. But over here we still can actually create, right, there's a few parameters which actually create the highlight for Fong itself. Right? So let me just put here, apply. Kind of like web plastic. But together with the reflection. Okay. So normally I would tell my student, right, if they want to stick to Fong, because Fong is just easier to actually manipulate. But if they really want to define, right, if they really want to define the specular or the highlight even further, they can go for Fong E. But as I said before, right, according to Maya itself, they claim that the Fong E render much more faster compared to the Fong. But in my honest opinion, it's not by a huge long shot compared to these two itself. It's just that Fong E has additional attributes, right, or modifying attribute that can actually define the what you call that, the highlight itself, as what you can see. Yeah. So actually in Maya itself, right, in Maya itself, these are the four generic, but actually there are more. There are more, as what you can see over here, like layered shader, in which you can actually different shader, right? Different shader onto the layer itself. Okay, but this one, I rarely actually use this, but RAM itself is more on creating different colors. But all this one, they have their own purpose, I can say. But most of the time, right, probably for your project itself, some of them are not really that compulsory. But I would find that the four of them, right, Lin, Lambert, Fong, and Fong E is applicable. Actually, there's one more material. There's one more standard material, right, for Maya itself. It's called anisotropic. Okay, anisotropic over here. So anisotropic is not under the favorite Maya category, but it's under the generic Maya category itself, in which, right, okay, let me just apply this. So anisotropic is mostly used for brush metal. Brush metal that has a highlight, right? That has a highlight that skims through a certain degree. That's what you can see here. Right now, by default, right, it's skimming through the vertical state. But I can actually change the angle, right, to create the highlight at the horizontal or landscape area. So normally, right, for this, for anisotropic is used for brush metal, as I mentioned before, brush metal, or let's just say you have a feather, right? It can simulate the feather surface together with the highlight, even human hair as well. The hair does have this quality as well, right? So I actually rarely use this as well, not really that much, unless if I really want to create brush metal for the items that I created in Maya itself. Okay, and over here, right, as what you can see here, there's a lot of like there's a few like parameters that we can actually adjust, right, to actually define the shape. So you can, as I mentioned before, right, you can actually see, right, kamu boleh tengok the effects or the what do you call that, the effects of the modification that we actually put, right, onto the model itself. And if I hit render, rather than rendering, right, but I wanted to render to see, right, whether the reflection are working well into the scene itself. Okay, got it? Right? There are others as well, but I'm not going to mention about, my God, you actually see all this one, right? I'm not going to mention about surface shader. There's use background is normally if you want to map out, right? If you want to map out surface and whatnot. There are many of them, right? Together with Planar itself. This one is all complex, but for starters, right? For starters, at your level first, it would be advisable to first thing first, identify the surface. Second, identify what are the materials, right, that you're going to apply onto the model itself. All right, understood, guys? Everyone, clear?
Ya.
Right? Any questions so far? Stop sharing.
Oke,
Anyone?
silakan kalau ada yang mau tanyakan.
Ada soalan? Hope they understood. I think I'm going too fast.
Ya,
Yeah.
it's okay. Pokoknya kalau memang kurang jelas atau mungkin ada part yang suara pas tadi mungkin hilang atau kalian ini silakan aja ya. Mau pas ini diinterupsi juga it's okay. Tapi sampai saat ini mungkin untuk dasarnya ketika kita membuat material shader itu step-nya adalah kita understand ini ya, memahami objek yang akan kita buat ini karakter material itu seperti apa. Itu pertama. Dan yang kedua adalah kita pahami what kind of material. Ada material apa yang ada di dalam software. Jadi jenis shader yang mana yang akan kita terapkan, apply. Kalau tadi kan yang kita bahas ada Lambert, ada Blend, ada Phong sama Phong E. Perhaps Phong E is Phong extended, yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's why it has extra parameters. It's
Yeah.
much more customizable for the cosine itself, I suspect. But in Max itself, do they actually have the same name, like Lambert, Blend?
We have Blend, Phong, anisotropic. We have that in 3ds Max, but we don't have Lambert shader in Max. I don't know
Because
why.
Max itself, because I think Max you can actually obliterate the specularity, right?
Yeah,
That's why they decide to have any of the shader without any specularity, it becomes a Lambert.
Yeah,
As far as I can remember for Max stuff. I played Max like since 19 years back, 20 years back, I think so. Yeah. Okay. If there's no question, right, probably I can move on. Can?
Okay. You can
I don't know
continue.
if I press screen, right? Let me try screen. Oh, you all can see my screen. Can you all see the slide?
Yeah.
Can you all see the slide?
Yeah, we can see.
And can you see the Maya over
here? Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Like that, I'll just stick it.
So you share your screen, yeah? Your entire
I'm
screen.
sharing my screen. Because okay, now I know. Okay, so this one I already explained. Okay, collection of shaders. These are from the slide that I created. Okay, so these are a few examples that was mentioned earlier on, Lambert, Phong, and Phong. But before you guys, right? Okay, all this material, right? That's why you can see here. You can actually apply onto a surface that does not have any texture. Tak ada texture langsung. Korang boleh guna color, boleh juga on the surface that you define. Okay, but however, right? Tetapi on the texture part itself, when you have a model that you modified to the point where you do a lot of extrusion, you do a lot of cutting, you do a lot of modification, you have a lot of subdivision that you pull and push and etc. In Maya itself, right, when we have such modification or alteration on the model itself, when you want to put in texture, this is the result you get. Meaning to say, right, in your 3D itself, every model that you created, okay, I'll just open up, okay, every model that you created, they do have a set what we call UV. Not talking about ultraviolet here, but it is a UV map. UV map is more like a 2D representation of the model itself. You can say it's like a skin. Okay, you can say it's like a skin that wraps around, all right, wraps around the model itself. Should you put any texture, any models, right? Just should you put any texture, any models, okay, for any models that you created like this? Let's just say, for example, okay, this one I modeled a few weeks back, a very simple one. Okay, UV editor. Your skin, right, of this state model has been compromised. Tak cantik lah macam ni. Tengoklah. It's not really that nice. Okay, it's not really that nice. It's not being spread properly. If you were to put any texture, this is the result you get. On the surface, it looks fine. On the surface, it looks fine. But if I were, let me just say, for example, I'll just put a Clean lah. Okay, clean. Together with texture. Just select a mountain texture. This is just a test only. Okay. 4 is for wireframe mode. 5 on the keyboard is the shader. 6 shader with materials. Do you think this is right, guys? Tak betul. Semua ni apa ni? Also stretch. Tak betul. Kerana UV dia kan tak spread out properly. That's why I say tak cantik. And I think Mr. Desi, if you never spread the UV for Mr. Desi, right? Mr. Desi will fail you guys. Betul tak?
Teksturnya jadi pecah, jadi stretch ya karuan ya.
Nanti dapat makan rendah, betul tak Desi?
Ya.
So korang kan semua, you need to do this actually. That's why the texturing itself will be later. You just need to spread the UV first, so that to ensure that your UV layout is in an orderly fashion. Okay, so this is the result I get. It needs to be spread cleanly and accordingly. Okay, so in Maya, right? In 3D Max, I think it's the same, right? It's called UV mapping as well. UV editing. Okay, so it works the same as 3D Max, but probably the interface might differ from one another. So this is a process, right, in which you make 2D image representation of a 3D model. Hence, it's like a skin, macam kulit of the model itself. If you have the sphere, there must be a UV map, right, that covers the sphere itself, so that each one of that pixels in that image itself, it can be assigned with a texture. That's why you can see. Okay, so this is to ensure, right, when you do UV mapping, this is to ensure that the texture, any texture that you put, photographic images that you put, right, is or not distorted during the rendering process. That's what you can see. So definitely when you model a character out, let's just say you model any character out or any objects that you modify to the point where banyak extrusion, banyak cutting here and there, multi-cut or whatsoever, the what you call that, the UV map definitely will be compromised, and you just need to spread them accordingly. All right. So for Maya itself, right, it's something like this. Okay, this is not really a complete version. I just use a very fast version, but I haven't even stitched any single one of them. But this is just an example of how the UV are being spread right onto the model itself. As well. This one is a little bit messy, not really arranged, but I running out of time. Actually, I did something like this. Okay, so in Maya itself, the UV editor, what I had shown, right? What I had shown is over here. Okay, over here. So this is a window, right, to manage your UV itself, to manage the UV of the model that you created. And of course, on the right hand side, if you play with Maya, right, Maya itself, if you play with Maya, there is what we call a modeling toolkit. So the same thing is applicable or seen in the UV toolkit itself. But I can tell you guys, right, I can show you guys UV itself ambil masa juga. But it requires a lot of practice, a lot of imagination, imaginasi juga, a lot of imagination on how would you want to plan, right? How would you want to plan how to actually spread the UV map for the said item itself? Okay, because we can use, right, in Maya itself, I believe 3D Max also got, Jesse, correct me if I'm right, projections in 3D Max.
Yeah,
Ada kan?
UVW map projection with a standard geometric ya. There are box, cylindrical, and plane ya.
And plane. Okay. So almost the same as ours, almost the same as Maya. Maya has, I think, 6 or 7 of them. But I'm going to show like 5 of them here, but probably I'm going to demonstrate a few of them later on. So as what Mr. Desi mentioned, there's a box, cylindrical, and plane itself. So when Mr. Desi mentioned about plane, right, it reminds me of the planar projection map, in which you have the item, right? Let's say this is a 3D model. If your model is flat, especially. Can you guys hear me? If I say a bit further, can you hear me?
Ya, ya.
Yes, I can still hear you.
All right. So let's say if you have, right, planar means flat, a plane, planar, a flat surface. If you use this projection itself, right, is for flat surface. Let's say my phone is flat surface. I can actually create a projection, right, to map this area itself, to actually spread the UV accordingly. Okay, because this is dedicated for flat surface. As a matter of fact, many years back when I work in the industry itself, last time many years back, I used I used planar a lot most of the time. Yeah, with some automatics here and there lah. A lot of flat planar projection. Sorry. Okay. The next one, right, cylindrical. Not, I never use this one a lot, but this one in certain occasion. Okay, in certain occasion. So this projection, right, if you have, okay, let's just say a pen, for example. Let's say a pen. Okay, cylindrical, as the name suggested, right, you actually wrap a cylindrical projection around, okay, around anything that looks like a pipe or with a cylindrical, what do you call that? Cylindrical form or shape. All right. But normally cylindrical itself, right? If you create anything with a cylinder, you will be greeted by its own default UV map, which can be adjusted. But if you have any cylindrical, right, that has a curve, then that one needs to be adjusted accordingly. Okay. Let's just say I have a pen here. Maybe I have certain part which is somewhat merges down below. I may need to adjust the UV map for the state pen itself. All right. Next one, right? Spherical. Spherical is a projection, right, that wraps a sphere, commonly used for spherical object or anything that has the shape of a sphere. However, this is not one of my most favorite one because all the projection itself will actually merge up to the top here. But if I want to spread the UV for the top itself, I just use planar. So most of this projection, you can combo them together. You can combo them together. Let's say on the object itself, right? Let's just say, for example, if I go to Maya over here, let's say, okay, let's say I focus on this guy lah. I just focus on this guy. I'll just go to the UV editor. I'll activate the checker box so that I can see the model itself. Right? I'll just space. I'll just select this area itself. Probably I will use the cylindrical. Okay, probably I'll use the cylindrical. Just right. Just doing an guys. So that the goal for UV, right? The goal for UV is actually, is to make sure that your UV spread, right, they are consistent in nature. But even I can see here there's problem, so I need to adjust that.
Oke, jadi ini namanya sorry Alan, ini namanya UV mapping ya, atau kalau di Max atau di Blender itu unwrap UV. Salah satunya tadi kan dari tekstur itu, tekstur kan 2 dimensi, sedangkan objeknya 3 dimensi. Nah, jadi yang harus kita lakukan adalah kayak di unwrap ya, kayak dibongkar gitu. Jadi kalau kita punya kotak, dia kayak dibongkar jadi flat surface. Tapi masalahnya adalah geometri sendiri mereka itu, kita harus mengejar supaya teksturnya ini targetnya tampilan di sini kita harus mappingnya ini bentuknya square ya, square dan even atau rata, ini jadi ukurannya sama semua, baik yang di sini, baik yang di sini atau di permukaan lain itu diupayakan sama skalanya. Am I correct, Alan?
Yeah, correct. Have to make as best as you can, right? Is to make the scale of the checker itself to be 1:1, 1:1 ratio. Betul. So that when you put the texture itself, right, it's inconsistent. It is consistent, and it's not being stretched. Now that's the reason being correct, Mr. Desi. Correct. So over here, it takes a little bit of time here. Okay, I will actually spend much time to actually adjust this one. It actually takes a lot of time, some time to actually do this one. Okay, and when I mention about combo, right? When I mention about combo, so let's say over here, right? This other faces itself, I can just use the planar. One planar. Okay, there you go. Let me just resize. Okay, okay, so that it's 1 to 1, and probably let me just like right, place them accordingly. So this one is generally right. Generally, it's like you are arranging the skin of the UV itself, right? The UV itself before you bring in Photoshop or probably Substance itself to actually paint Photoshop Illustrator Substance to actually paint the texture, to actually assign the related texture itself. So okay, that would be the cylinder, right? Okay, it needs to have a little bit of adjustment over here, as I can see. That's why it takes some time to actually adjust the UV accordingly. Right? So I can see here. So as I mentioned before, you can actually combo, right? You can actually combo. I'm using cylindrical as one of them, and I can combo the planar mapping, right? The planar mapping for the other side itself, right? So you can actually select the faces and project them, or you want to spread the UV on the object itself, also can, but I would advise face. Later I'll show a quick demonstration on the UV itself on one subject. Okay, right. Next one here, right? Okay, this one is far from perfect, but sometimes it gets the job done. Okay, far from perfect, but it gets the job done. Basically, this one uses multiple projection planes, right? Multiple projection planes like the planar planes to actually create the layout, not to say create layout, to spread the model's UV accordingly. That's why you can see here. So let's say if I go back to my right, control 1, isolate. So let's just say if I were to spread, okay, this guy over here, let's say for example, okay, definitely if I want to do it proper, right, I'll use cylinder for this area, cylinder for this area, and probably planar over here. Just for the sake of today's demonstration, right? Okay, just for the sake of today's demonstration, I go to the UV editor here. Okay, there you go. This is the one. I'll just go to automatic, and it will actually spread them through several planar maps as what you can see here. However, the downside for this, right, in my opinion, okay, sometimes the shape that you want is not what you really want, right? It's not what you really intended for. Probably I want this one to be one piece, whereas the other one to be one piece, but it's being divided into several pieces. Unless if I actually select, right, the faces themselves and use the automatic mapping. That's what you can see here. Okay, that's why this one can be say, I can say, right, this can be a last resort for complicating model. But however, for the surface over here, right, as I mentioned before and as I demonstrated previously, I can actually use several other projections to actually create the state UV map itself. Okay, the sphere is a bit odd. Maybe I need to change the angle for the sphere. Maybe I need to change it to something like this, probably. All right, probably over here. Maybe do a little bit of adjustment. Of course, this one requires some time. Or maybe I'll just use the automatic itself and push it aside and combine them accordingly. Okay, so automatic, right? Automatic is more for complicated model, but you may need to, right? You may need to arrange and stitch them accordingly. Kena aturkan semua skin of the UV itself, lepas tu stitch them. Cantum balik. Yeah, cantum balik. Alright. So that will be automatic, which is quite useful, but it is a double-edged sword. That's why you can see. Okay, automatic itself, as why you can see over here, some of the surface are prominent, but small details, right, or details of the model itself is being separated to small chunks or small shells. All right, these are what we call UV shells. Okay, and the last one, right, the last one is another variety of planar projection, but this is actually based on the camera that you selected. So let's say, for example, if I have the sword here, right, the blade over here, let's say, for example, if I were to use perspective camera in Maya, if I use camera base, this is the UV that was generated based on the camera. So this tells me one thing. Hey, why do I need perspective? Whereas I can actually project the map at top view. So if I select the top view, right, then camera base, this is what you get. Okay, but of course over here is based 1:1. I'll just increase the size. Okay, got it. Of course, I can reduce the UV. Make sure that it's within the box itself, and now this is the objective, right, of UV editor. Takes a lot of work, but it will be promising in the end. Takes a lot of work, but will be very, very promising. Okay, any questions so far? Ada soalan tak?
Ada ini pertanyaan, Alan.
Yep.
Is it how about the scale of its map ya? Because from for example from your model, from your blade, there's some part that the size the map is large in a large area, and some of them are is in
Small area. Okay. Yeah. Let me just.
Jadi saya masalahnya gini ya teman-teman. Jadi kalau mapping itu kan tadi ada bagian yang apa areanya besar, boxnya itu nanti akan berpengaruh ke skala waktu kita bikin teksturnya. Nah ini kita perlu tahu idealnya seperti apa sih apa perbandingan ukuran apa tadi ya gridnya itu boxnya yang di mapping tekstur itu seperti apa? Oke,
Okay.
Alan, go on.
Because for our part, right? Let me just use camera base here. Normally, all of them, right, will be stored. Let's say around this size. Okay. So, for my items here, right? For my items, they are separated into several items here. That's why you can see here. Right. So once the UV is being generated, it has to be contained into this box itself. But when you want to export, right? When you want to export the skin itself, let's say for example, okay, UV snapshot, we can actually adjust, right, the size of the said skin as a image reference to put in the texture itself. So the texturing itself can come later when the point where if you want a high-res image, right, or high-res texture, then you can actually rely on the resolution that had been set by the UV itself, or vice versa. But over here, right, okay, over here, you can also, right, when it comes to the size itself or ratio, if you have multiple of them in place, right, it can be contained within the box itself. That's what you can see. But they can be separated, right? They can be separated into several chunks or several UV maps or images as a separate file rather than into one. It's actually dependent, in my opinion. For this case, right, if I have the blade, I can export the blade alone. But if I want to include, right, I also can include the other shell, right? Okay, this other shell here, right? Let's say this other shell, right? Let me just select the. Let me just push this one over. Let me just put it here, and this one over here. So let's say if I really spread this guy, okay, I'll just make a quick one. There you go. Another component here, and probably another one.
We can do this mapping several materials but using same texture ya.
Same using same layout one layout, or all this shell, right, can be exported as a separate layout. It's either way or either this or this. But I do know some people who actually put in together.
Ya.
Can put it together. Yeah, I do know some.
Jadi
But
ada material. Jadi ini proses texturing itu biasanya mapping atau apa polanya ini kan dari sini kita ekspor nanti untuk di Photoshop atau Illustrator atau itulah untuk dikasih warna. Jadi ada yang apa? Kadang-kadang kita pakai apa seperti di game ya, game tekstur untuk game design itu dalam satu benda ada beberapa material, tapi teksturnya itu kita bisa pakai satu file tekstur yang sama gitu. Nah ini kalau kita mappingnya ini ukurannya tepat, maka kita bisa pakai tadi ya seperti tadi contohnya model badan orang, the girl model with seluruh body ya dalam satu tubuh, tapi di dalam tubuhnya itu ada yang tekstur kulit, ada yang tekstur baju. Nah ini, ya jadi ada yang tekstur untuk skin, ada yang tekstur untuk celana, kaos. Nah itu kan beda-beda. Tapi kita buat seperti, for example, in this area we have hand, kita punya tangan, tapi ukurannya ini kan lebih kecil dari skala ukuran di kepalanya. Jadi kalau kita tekstur editor mapping editor ini kita bisa atur yang penting posisinya nanti bisa ada di dalam satu box ini ya. Is that right, Alan ya?
yeah, that's why it has to
Kalau
be,
ada yang di luar ini nanti ada repeated, jadi akan terulang.
that's why sometimes it has to be consistent here. So, but even if they do something like this, let's just say the scale of the face is bigger than the hand itself, right? Meaning to say the texture map for the face itself has to be at this magnitude, but the texture for the hand itself, right? How am I going to say? Is the pixelation kind of thing? Kind of thing. Over here, it has to be high res, if I'm not mistaken, or more detailed. But definitely, if it's smaller, right, it's going to be small as well. Yeah. But the general practice for UV itself is to ensure, right, both of them are consistent in size. But if the head is a separate entity, but this one, looking at this, right, this is one whole model. If I'm not mistaken, looking at this is one whole model. That's why everything is together into one piece here. If I'm not mistaken. If I have a model something like this, right? Let's just say, for example, so let's say if I have a model here, right? Let's say if you see the UV itself is not really that great. Okay, so there's one part. So there's one part where it focuses on the human, on the body itself, on the skin. All right. The second chunk would be on the shirt itself. Okay. The second will be on the shirt. Well, of course, the setup is a bit wrong. Okay. So it can be saved separately rather than one item together. That's why it's actually dependent. So the skin itself will be foam material, whereas the shirt can be Lambert material. But looking at the example over here, right, this is actually one item. If I look at the model, this is one item. Correct?
Ya, ya.
So, yep. Let's do a quick one over here. Everyone understand so far? Everyone got it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. At least now I'm able to hear something. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I make jokes, especially in my class. Ask whether, are you guys there or not? Or not, I'll cry or whatnot. Man, that's a mistake. But never mind. Okay, let me just delete or type. Okay, so this is a simple layout, right? Very straightforward layout. We do have the wall and floor, right? Okay, this is all about planning. This is about planning. And also you need to identify, right? Okay, this is the chair itself. So I'll start with something very, very simple and generic over here.
Sorry, Alan, for interrupt you.
Yeah.
Your voice is disappear again.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Can. Okay. I
Yeah.
need to push myself closer already.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about this, guys. Yeah, I push myself. Okay, so this is I'm going to start with something fundamental and fast. All right. So if you have the wall and floor together as one object, right? Oh my God, my eye is straining. All right. So okay. So over here, if I face right with flat object, the tips here for doing UV itself, right? The tips here for doing UV, it is best to actually isolate, right, the model that you want to use here. I'm not hiding nor deleting the rest of the model. I'm actually isolating, right? View selected or control one in my itself to see the model over here. So let me start with the floor. Okay. I don't want to use automatic. I don't want to use automatic here because it's very straightforward where I can just planar everything. So I'll just select the first face. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Number 1 will be over here. So this tells me that I need to planar. During the old days, right? During the old days, I used to do something like this. Planar, then I have to rotate, right? The planar itself. So I actually wasted more time doing something like this. Okay, I actually wasted more time in doing something like this. However, new feature in Maya, right? The new feature for Maya projection itself. Okay, let me just select them again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. In the planar itself, I can actually, if I look at the description over here, I can left mouse button to project using the current settings. The current setting is projecting over the x-axis. You all know what's the x, y, and z axis, right? 3D Max also has the same.
Yeah.
Blender also has the same, x, y, z. So this tells me that I need to have, right? Let's imagine this is the floor. The floor is like this. I need to have a projection over the floor itself. So this tells me that I need to create a projection against the y-axis. So I need to read over here. Okay, left mouse button, project using the current settings. Middle mouse button, now this is what I want. Project using the y-axis. And right mouse button, project using the
Oh.
z-axis.
So it
So I just,
depends. It depends on the button in the mouse. Yeah. Which one we
Hmm.
press. Yeah.
But I do believe, right? I do believe over here they have, right? Okay, planar mapping. You can actually select from here as well. But this
Yeah.
one takes a lot, like you want to work, you want to be practical as well. So nowadays I don't want to go through here. I'll just go through here and I just press middle mouse button and there you go.
Oh.
Now this is what we call cantik.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So I can see, right? I can see that the distribution of the square itself, the checker itself, is 1-to-1. Even the orientation, right, on the number on the UV editor, it says U1 V1. Okay, U is referring to the horizontal line, V is referring to the vertical line. Okay, so I can see that it's under map 1001 here. So okay, I have one over here. Projection width and height 24 by 24. I have to remember this number. Okay, because in the settings for my planar mapping, right, it actually I didn't highlight this keep image width and height ratio. Okay, I didn't activate this, but never mind. I'll just remember the number over here, 24 by 24. So let me just move this shell aside first. Now the next shell, right, that I wanted to map out would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So over here, middle mouse button, you are going to project on the y-axis itself. But for here, right, I want it to project on the z-axis. So it's right mouse button. Right mouse button, tada, there you go. Okay. But however, if I didn't activate, right, if I'm not mistaken, I need to activate this, but never mind. If I'm not mistaken, the ratio, right, okay, the ratio for this projection itself is not really 1-to-1. I do notice that. If you notice on the square itself, it's not really 1-to-1. It's more on the rectangle. It's because of the projection itself, the projection width and height. They are not to a 1-to-1 ratio. So matter of fact, this could be 24 by 16 itself. Do the math, 12 by 8. Okay, 2-to-1 or something like that. Close to that. Okay. So I just need to put this one at 24 so that it is much more consistent. 24 by 24. That's why I wanted to remember the number for this guy. So this is 24 by 24, hence it's a 1-to-1 ratio. I'll put it at the side over here. The numerical number is cantik. Okay, I know it's facing at the right direction. Now for the last one. Okay, this one straightforward. If you make any selection on the plane itself, and if your component selection, right, is looking at the world orientation X, Y, and Z, this one is referring to the X-axis. So I'll just use the basic one, which is the left mouse button. And of course, 24 by 16, I'll just change this one to 24 by 24, and nice. Okay, are we complete yet, guys? This is what we want, right? This is what you want, not what we want. And this is what Mr. Desi wants you all to do next time. Nice, right? But we are not done yet, actually. We're not done yet over here, because this is what we're going to call stitching itself. Right now, I do have several UV shells. This is what we call UV shells. And over here in Maya itself, definitely I can choose them as vertices, edge, faces, UV sets, or UV selection, or select them as shell. Okay, but let me just select the edge because I wanted to see, right, which part are connecting with which part. So it tells me, right, in Maya over here, it tells me that, hey, all right, hey, this is connecting from here to here. This is connecting from here to here and here. And to the side as well, here to here, what you can see around this area, this seam itself, here, here, and here. All right. I'm not going to go to the point where I'm going to be a total jackass. Sorry, pardon my language. I'm not just going to waste my time by doing something like this and say this is done. No, we are not going to do something like that. All right. As a matter of fact, I can actually select, right, hold down shift, select multiple of the edges over here, and I will just cut and sew. I will stitch them together from first selection to the second selection, or from B to A. Stitch, and will stitch accordingly. One, one, two, three. And this is what you want. I will select them as UV. Place them into the respective box here. Let me just resize. By the way, the UV can be moved, right? It can be moved. It can be scaled. It can be rotated as well. But general rule of thumb when it comes to UV editing, it is advisable, right? It is advisable that your item, whatever item that you model, they stick to the 90 degrees or 180 degrees orientation. Do not do your UV while your item is like this. Not. Make sure that it's flat 90 degrees, 180 degrees. Got it? Right? And then, of course, you guys can hear me? Still can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And of course, when you want to export, right? Of course, I want to export this as a UV map here. Images, UV snapshot. I'll leave it as 2048 by 2048.